Shake has a number of global parameters that affect the entire production job, and the user interface, and even the renders. And they're all collected together here under the Globals tab. I click on the Globals tab and it becomes visible. Let's increase the size of the parameter window so we can get a little more real estate here. The first thing you'll want to know about is the time range. You have to set this for every job. Just click in this window and enter the frames 1-100, for example, return, if you had a 100-frame shot. The use proxy we'll learn about later after we know more about proxies. The motion blur will also have to wait until we've learned more about motion blur, but the format, that's something you want to know about right now. So we open up the format window by clicking on the little plus sign. One of the first things you'll care about is the frames per second. This sets the frame rate for the job. The default is set up for film, but if you click on NTSC, you get 2997. Click on PAL for 25, or you can just type any old number in here you want. The next thing you need to know about is the default width and the default height. These numbers affect the size of images that are created by Shake here in the Images tab. They do not change the size of any image, they don't change the size of any image you bring in or the size of a render. Only those images created within Shake. Up here in the Format line, there's a pop-up menu that has a list of presets that you can pick from. We could, for example, pick NTSC ND, which means non-drop frame. And that sets the NTSC frame rate up here. The width and the height are set for NTSC right there. And even pixel aspect ratios and image aspect ratios, which we'll talk about later. If we go up to the format and we pick full, this sets up for a full aperture feature film job. The frames per second has set for film, 24 frames per second, and the image width has become 2048 and the height by 1556, which is standard full aperture frame scans. Let's fold this back up. The render controls, we'll talk about those later. The GUI controls, there's one item of great interest in here. Display thumbnails. Click on this button and that pops up the thumbnails for all the nodes. I personally find them too intrusive, so I consistently turn them off. The rest of these items we'll find out about later. The monitor controls are specifically for connecting a broadcast quality monitor to your Macintosh, and this sets different display parameters for that. Colors just affects some colors in the GUI. You can change a few things. No big deal here. And the enhanced node view. We'll learn about this later because we do not yet know what the enhanced node view is. So the globals parameter is very important and is used to set those issues that affect the entire job, including the interface and your renders.